Good. Hello, this is Dottie Grover, and I'm the host of One Voice at a Time. And today we are here with Kristina. I knew I was going to do that.
Kristina Newbold.
Newbold. I have a totally different name in mind for you. Ianacone.
Exactly.
That was her maiden name. And Kristina is the founder and owner of Life Simplified. And she is also the person who does the organizing for that company.
Correct.
And I want her to give you a little background on herself as to what she used to do before she found out she was an organizer.
Well, I grew up in Londonderry. I spent all my childhood years here. And then I went to college in Massachusetts and moved out to Amherst. I've been living in Amherst for the last 10 and a half years. What brought me to organizing, I think most professional organizers find their way there by accident. I organized for friends, families, employers my whole life.
Okay. They knew who to go to.
They knew who to go to, and I was the go-to girl. And every time I had a job and I organized, then I got bored. And I would move on to the next company.
Get them organized?
And get them organized. And then I would get bored. And so finally one day, a colleague of mine said, "Why don't you open a business on the side?" And I said, "You know what? Why don't I just open a full-time business and follow my passion?"
Make the commitment.
And make the commitment and do what I've always wanted to do. And that's just what I did. I founded Life Simplified of New England. And now I'm a professional organizer full-time, and I absolutely love it.
And professional organizer doesn't just mean that you call yourself one. There's actually a way to become an accredited. Would that be the good word? Professional organizer?
There is not an accreditation per se for to become a professional organizer, although there is a national organization which is called National Association of Professional Organizers. I have taken several courses through them, and you do follow their code of ethics and confidentiality.
That's good.
So I am part of that nationally recognized organization.
I think it's good when they have something to standardize so that you know the person you're inviting into your home has had to go through that process.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
and to become part of that organization, you have to do a certain number of things in order to be called a professional organizer through them.
That's great. Can you tell me about some of the things you had to do with them?
You have to take several courses, including ethics, confidentiality, different courens on residential organizing, personalities of organizing. You know, one of the things people think is you just go in and you just organize for somebody. And that's really not the way. It's tailored to people's specific styles, how they think, how they work. So it's very hard for me to say over the phone, well, this is what's going to work for you.
Right. You've got to meet them.
Absolutely. You know, figure out their personality, their style, how things work for them. And all those courses helped with that. It really kind of just honed what I already, you know, I really do believe you're kind of born with that trait or that gene of wanting to be that organized.
It's in your DNA somewhere.
Absolutely. And not everybody has that. So to be able to take that and kind of just hone in on it a little bit and learn a little bit more.
Well, I know for myself, I was always told I was a very organized person. But I found that as I got older, I got less organized. I think the accumulation of stuff was part of that issue. And my daughter introduced me to the method of keep, toss, giveaway.
Right.
Holy cow.
She
had me going so fast. Just went, don't think about it, Mom. Just keep, toss, give away. Keep, toss, give away. And we're going through these piles, and I would get dizzy. So finally, she was kind enough to give me a maybe pile.
Yes.
So I could go back later and decide on that one.
Well, and there's a lot of different, you know, ways to do that. And I always, you know, people are always scared. If I hire you, are you going to come in and make me throw everything out?
Yeah.
And I tell people it's not about throwing things out.
Yeah.
It's not about me coming up with a system that I think is going to work for you.
Yeah.
It's about what's going to work for you. And I tell people it's okay to have maybe things.
Yeah.
I always tell people, you know, why don't you, I like to call it a sentimental bin. Everybody in your house is allowed one sentimental bin that you can keep in the basement. Just stuff that you really cannot part with.
Can't
it's
let go
just
of
too
it.
hard.
Yeah. Yeah. So when somebody calls you, what's the process? Take me through that whole.
So typically somebody will call me and we'll talk a little bit about the project that they have in mind. Some people want their whole house organized. Some people, I do small businesses as well as residential.
Okay.
So some people will just want a particular project. I explain to people that it's not just about me coming in and doing the organizing for them. I will work alongside them and teach them skills and give them tips along the way.
So it's going to be easy for them to maintain after you go home?
Absolutely.
Okay.
It doesn't do any good. It would be more of a house cleaner per se. Not that there's anything
Yeah,
wrong
I
with
know what you're
that, but
saying.
it would be a one-time come in and clean out is
Yep.
not. I really want to help these people simplify their lives. I don't want it to be a one-time thing for them. So we kind of get a feel for what they're looking for, what type of project they have. I then go in and do a free either in-home or in-office assessment.
Okay.
I never charge for those.
Okay.
I know
That's
some
good to know.
organizers do. It's something that I don't because I feel like you need to be able to really mesh with the person. You need to make sure, that it's a job that I feel comfortable doing. It's a
Right.
job that I think they're ready to tackle. And to be able to meet each other and make sure that we're going to work good together.
Yeah, the personalities have to make a big difference.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. And then I work on any budget. Sometimes, like I said, people want me to do their whole house, which I've done. Some people want me to start a project with them, get them going. It's very contagious. Once you start the organizing process, it spreads through your house, which I love.
Yeah,
So sometimes I'll start a project with them, and then they want to continue on their own, and then I'll come back towards the end of the project and wrap it up. A lot of times, probably I would say 90% of the time you have homework in between sessions to keep it going and also to keep the costs down.
Right.
I do charge by the hour. It's not by the project.
Okay.
Because it's very hard for me to come in and say, well, this project's going to, take 6 hours. Or this.
Right.
It depends on how easy it is for you to make decisions, whether you're willing to let go of things or not. So that's how I typically work with
Okay.
them.
So hopefully you get in there before they get labeled hoarders.
Absolutely.
Okay.
I don't deal with hoarders, unfortunately.
That's just sad how many people can't let go of anything.
I
think
know.
that's really sad.
I know. Well, and they say 50 years ago, the average size home was 1,000 square feet. Today, the average size home is 2,300 square feet, and 10% of families still have off-site storage.
And now I know what my problem is. I am short by 500 square feet. Okay.
Which needs to get you organized, and you won't need that much space.
Actually, I wasn't counting the attic space. Maybe I do have that. Yeah, I've been working on organizing my house ever since I retired 2 years ago. And luckily, I had a friend that actually met here at the studio, worked with her, and she is an organizer automatically. I mean, that's just what she does. She can't help herself.
Yep.
So I let her loose in my house, and it's almost done.
It's
It's an ongoing thing.
It's a very much an ongoing thing. People
Yeah.
think it's a one-time thing and you're done. And you can certainly learn a lot. And I tell people it can be a one-time session if that's what you want,
Yeah.
or it can be an ongoing type thing. The two areas that I really like to work with, I mean, I hate to say that, everybody could benefit from a professional organizer, but and I certainly have worked with all different types of people in all different stages of their lives. But the two areas that I really like to work with are stressed out moms. I think that we, one, I can certainly relate to them. I'm a mom myself.
Yeah.
And we are very stressed, whether we are stay-at-home moms or moms who work outside of the home. There's a lot more demands on us today. Technology, everything is just so fast-paced, and life has become so chaotic.
It has.
For somebody to come in and help them with schedules, routines, I like to call it command central. Set up the little station in the home where everything's run from. Your calendars, where what kid is going to what sport at what time, and all that. When we had our home, when my son was born 11 years ago, our dining room was set up as our playroom. So, that's what fit for us at that time.
Yeah.
So to go in and help them in each of their areas of their home, maximize the space in the rooms they have, help declutter the toys or the playrooms, whatnot. That's one area that I really, really like to work with. I like to work with the kids, setting up homework stations.
Yeah.
But the moms really in particular, I really like to work with.
I bet the kids are very responsive if they have that feeling that they actually help to set up their space the way they need it to be.
Well, absolutely, and I think it carries over to good work habits in school.
Yeah, yeah.
I think if everybody's on some sort of, and I'm not talking about being rigid, but if everybody's on some sort of routine and schedule and knows what's expected of them, organization isn't just about your physical space, it's about your mental space as well, and it's a
Absolutely.
package deal. And
Yeah.
if the whole family's involved,
Yeah.
I think everybody benefits from that.
Well, I know that even psychologically, if you can't handle the chaos that's going on in your life, you go handle the chaos in your closet or your drawers.
Absolutely.
Because it's something you can maybe get control
Absolutely.
over.
Absolutely.
So there's definitely the mental part of that whole thing.
Yeah, yeah. And the other area I really like to work with is I think some people are recognizing how chaotic things have become and how much excess we've all accumulated. And whether you're downsizing or you're a family who is moving because it is just too small of a space and
Yeah.
you need larger, vice versa. I love to help through the whole moving process. So getting your house ready to put on the market, again, if your dining room is currently set up as your playroom, we need to get that set
needs to be a
back up
dining
as your
room.
dining room before you put it on the market. Just purge and pack to get you ready for your move. There's no sense taking all your clutter and everything with you to your new house because you're just going to start off on a bad
Right.
foot. Let's get you everything you need to your new house, and then let's set up your new house the way that you would like it. Again, rearranging the furniture so it maximizes the space, getting the kids set up and involved in their homework stations, getting your kitchen set up so you have your zones or whatnot. I can do any one of those parts or the whole process all the way through. Those are probably the moving piece and the working with the moms are probably my biggest passion, but I have worked with all sorts of
Yeah.
people in different stages of their lives.
I bet the downsizing is really very emotional for people.
Yeah, it depends on where they are in the process. Some
Yeah.
people don't mind the downsizing and are ready for it and are
Yeah.
ready to let go of the stuff. That makes it easier. Again, I never force anybody to throw things out or get rid of things that they don't want to get
Yeah.
rid of. A good thing I tell people is if you're not really sure, take a box, throw it in that box, put it in your garage. 6 months later, if you haven't thought about it or you haven't gone looking for it, chances are you don't need it.
Well, that's a good plan. I like that. I do sometimes find that as soon as I agree to get rid of it, a week later, I'm like, oh, I need it.
Well, and today there are so many things that that function as more than one thing. Especially with paperwork.
Yeah.
People are always holding on to paperwork. Paperwork and filing is huge. And nowadays with the internet, if you can find it somewhere else, or
Don't
you
keep
know,
it.
there's no sense on keeping it if you can find it on the internet. Or if you have something in your kitchen that can serve 3 different purposes, get rid of the other things.
So all of those recipes I'm downloading from the internet, I probably should just leave them there.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. And then when you need them, they're right there and they're taking up less space in your house.
I think I'm afraid I'm going to forget what it was I wanted to make. A notepad, maybe. No, I've heard a lot of people, now that I'm retired, and a lot of my friends are as well. And a lot of them are looking at that whole downsizing, even if they're not planning on moving out. They really want to become more compact, make the house easier to take care of, which was one of my issues. I live almost alone. I have a cat and 2 dogs. No, I have a dog and 2 cats. I can't believe I said that. But anyway, they don't help around the house at all.
Right.
So I needed to make sure that the house was organized so that I can still stay there because that's where I want to be. I don't want to move to another place.
Absolutely.
I'm very attached to that house.
And I'm actually working with somebody right now in
Like
that
that.
who is not ready to move
Yeah.
or downsize, but ready to get rid of a lot of the stuff so when the time comes.
A lot of that accumulation.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's a good time to be thinking about it too. It's not
Yeah.
necessarily when you're ready to downsize because sometimes that's when you're making rash decisions and you're just getting rid of things because you need to.
That sounds like the sort of thing that people do like after a divorce or after a death. They move too quickly.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. And that's something, I really like to go at the pace that people are comfortable with. Again, all decisions are made by them. So people are afraid, well, why do I need a professional organizer? Why can't I do this? It's sometimes I think the challenge is explaining to people really what a professional organizer does and the benefit of having one.
Right.
And I tell people, well, you hire a personal trainer or a nutritionist to get your health under control.
Right.
And professional organizing is just like that. We talked about the physical clutter, but it is also the mental clutter. And sometimes having somebody come in there with a second set of eyes and to be able to show you simple ways to do things. If you can eliminate any sort of money or time looking for things. People are buying numerous things because they already have it at home, but they can't find it. Or the time that you're missing in the morning because you can't find an outfit that you want to wear because your closet is not set up the way it should be set up. Just to help people with little tips and little things here and there. The way things are, it's also about the systems that need to be put in place.
Yeah.
It's not just necessarily about throwing things out.
Well, I find that, I said I had someone working with me, and now I'm working with someone else. I'm sort of like, paying it forward.
Right.
And what I'm finding is sometimes just having that person there that you have to say, you don't have to, but that you want to say, well, I want to keep this because. And sometimes my answer is, really?
Well, you have
Why?
to, some people are afraid, well, it was a gift. Well, you know what? Exactly, it was a gift, so you were allowed
do
to
whatever
do
you
whatever
want.
you want with that. People are afraid to get rid of things because it's been in the family. And again, if you want to keep it and your system works for you, then
Yeah,
that's
that's
fine.
fine.
You can always take a picture of it and keep the picture and get rid of the item.
Yeah.
If it's, you don't need to, we need to sometimes remove ourselves emotionally from the objects that we have in our house because we just keep accumulating.
You just gave me a wonderful new idea for a hobby.
Uh-oh.
Scrapbooking my clutter and letting the clutter part of it
There
go.
you go. There you go.
Just take pictures of all of it and it'll always be with me.
There you go. Yeah.
So do you find that that it is harder maybe with those people that are downsizing though than it might be for the younger person who's just trying to get their life organized? They're not really trying to get rid of anything necessarily.
I think it's a different mentality.
Yeah.
And that's why I say, as a professional organizer, one of the things I really pride myself in is I can adapt to the person I'm working with. I think that's what can differentiate a good personal or professional organizer versus a not so good one. Is to be able to go in and respect their boundaries, be able to really find out what their needs are and what they want, because it can be hard. If you're getting them at the point where they are maybe needing to move into assisted living and you're working with their adult children, or people who've just realized this house is too big and it's sad, they've been in that house for
Forever.
50 years and they now need to move to an apartment, it is definitely harder and they're more fragile. So being able to adapt to that and explain to them, again, you always just reiterating their goals, why they're doing this. There isn't one person out there who cannot benefit from simplifying their life.
Yeah. Well, I know that for myself, I'll get some advice here, free advice. I know that for myself, when I was young, one of the things that I enjoyed was having grandmothers who had stuff. And they would tell me about the things and where they had come from. And we don't have a lot of family heirlooms in my family, but there were some things that were significant. A picture of my father, or a picture that looked exactly like my father that was given to my grandmother when he was born. And I still have that. And I'm going to pass that on to my daughter. I have no idea what she's going to do with it. But those kinds of things have memories attached to them. And I can see where I would have a lot of trouble giving that up if I had to go downsize or something like that. But my point was, and I get off track here, my point was that I think in my generation we have a little bit more of that sort of thing where we're really emotionally tied to those things because they were in our lives for so long and we want to pass them on, versus maybe the younger person who hasn't formed those attachments. Right. Okay, so
and that's what I tell people is absolutely, if you have those heirlooms or things that you want to keep, again, it's not about getting rid of everything. It's about fitting things in the space. I can't make your home any bigger than what it is. And if you are downsizing from a 2,000 square foot home to a 900 square foot apartment, this is the space you have to work with. So let's go through it together and let's figure out what is most important to you, because you definitely don't want to get rid of things that are important to you. And that's not the purpose of hiring a professional organizer.
One of the other things that I've been doing with my daughter is she has said, okay, if you want me to keep that, I need to know why it's significant. So, for example, the things that are in my living room, and you can have this tip for free, the things that are in my living room, I basically went through and did an inventory of the entire room, what the item was, what the value, either when I purchased it or from coming down through the family, and then why I thought it was important.
That's great.
So now she looks at something and it's not just, oh, that's something that's been hanging in the house forever. Don't know why that's there, because you don't talk about it very often.
No.
But I found that that makes me feel better too. So now I'm passing something on to her. When she has to downsize, she can make those decisions with that sort of thing.
Right. That's a great idea.
Yeah, because she's told me she's not moving into my Victorian house. Not a Victorian kind of person. So that's.
Well, and you can repurpose a lot of stuff too.
Oh yeah, that's
you
true.
know, what maybe you're currently using in your larger space as a banquette in your dining room maybe can be used as something in your living room if you don't have a dining room in your new space. So
Yeah.
that's where it comes in, trying to figure out, let's figure out what it is you want to keep and maximize the space you have. You know, it can just repurpose a lot of what you have maybe.
I got started, there was an article in the AARP magazine telling about the terrible burden we leave on our children because we have all of that stuff and we never even told them what it was. So that was sort of what got me started on trying to get things organized and inventoried and let them know what it is. And then I groomed my niece to love Victorian things.
There you go. So now you're set.
I hope so. I hope
Well,
so.
then it's good to do it before it's a necessity. You know, it's good to start thinking about that.
Yeah.
You know, I have worked with some people where they, you know, I say to them now, before we start this, do you want to check with your children and make sure they want any of this stuff?
Yeah.
And they said, oh, I already have, and they're so worried that I'm starting to get rid of things, and you know, it's smart to do it now. So, like you said, you're not leaving it for your children to do.
Yeah, absolutely. So, if I want to start organizing my house, which I've already been working on that, but if I was the person who's just starting out, I'm looking at my house and I realize that it's just overwhelming for me to tackle this clutter by myself, get organized by myself. Contact you. You come over and you meet me. We mesh. Personalities go great. Are you also going to guide me towards maybe storage items, things that are easy to store things in or display things in so that I can
Yeah, I tell
stay
people
organized?
I tell people that I will work on Walmart budgets and I will work on Pottery Barn budgets.
Okay.
I also offer shopping services for people. So if they don't want to go out and buy all their storage bins, and I know exactly what they want or what
What's
works
gonna-
for
yeah,
them.
right.
But I tell them too, a lot of people get on this craze of, I'm going to go buy every organizational bin that's out there. And I say, don't do that yet, because there
You
is a
don't know
lot
yet.
of stuff we can repurpose
Yeah.
in your house, and you don't know how much we're necessarily going to get rid of, or if we rearrange furniture, where things are going to go.
Yeah.
So I always tell people, wait, let's start the organizing process, then either together, or I can do it alone, or they can do it alone. I tell them, you know, what they need, absolutely, for storage, what they need, what I think would work in the area. They can say to me, I don't like that, Kristina, let's come up with another idea.
Yeah.
Great, we'll come up
Yeah.
with whatever works for them. But yes, I help from soup to nuts. The whole purging of everything, the reorganizing of it, teaching them the systems to keep it going so when I'm gone. And I always check in on them a couple months later
was
to
just
make
gonna
sure
say,
things
yeah.
are going
Yeah,
okay.
kind of a follow-up.
Yeah, because a system that maybe they thought worked for them at the beginning isn't. And
Okay.
so if they're
Just
not
doesn't maybe
staying-
suit their personality after all or something?
Yeah, they thought maybe this was, you know, the best, you know, the best system at the time.
Right.
And they used it for a little bit and it wasn't working out. So, okay, well, let's go back to the drawing board, because no matter how great a system is, if it's one you're not using, it's not the right one for you.
Yeah.
And it's not going to serve the purpose.
I'm guilty of buying an organizer and then going home and say, how can I use this?
Yeah.
Right, I'm very
a lot of
guilty
people
that.
are.
Yeah.
A lot of people are. And a lot of people too, you know, I mean, I always say HGTV has done great things for my industry, but it's also done bad things for my industry because they think, well, this is going to take a half hour and this is what your home is going to look like.
30 minutes and it's done.
It's not,
Yeah.
doesn't work that way, unfortunately.
Is You mentioned Pottery Barn and Walmart. Have you been to the Container Store?
Oh my gosh, it's a good thing we don't have one of those around here.
It's not that far. It's in,
I know,
yeah.
it's far enough that
Peabody.
it doesn't keeps me out of trouble, but yes, it's one of my favorite places.
Me too. Me too. I like that. So, Kristina, is there anything else that you'd like to get across to people about why this is an important thing to do? And I know we're not here selling your business. We're here selling this concept.
Absolutely.
Okay. And I think it's important because of the mental health aspect of it.
That's exactly what I wanted to.
If your home is not chaotic, then I think you definitely have a less chaotic life in mind.
Absolutely, and
So-
I think especially with, with moms in general, we do tend to kind of, our attitude and our feeling kind of permeates the house, the children, everybody, everything.
yeah.
And so I really believe that it's something that if you can decrease your mental clutter, your physical clutter, if you feel happy to come home at the end of the day, if you're relaxed in your environment. And sometimes people are ashamed or feel like, oh, I don't want to hire somebody to come in and help me with that. It is all strictly confidential. And sometimes you do just need that person to come in there and get you on track. And the benefits far outweigh the cost when it comes to getting yourself organized.
Well, it sounds like a really good plan to me.
Well, thank you. I
And,
appreciate the opportunity.
Well, I'm really glad that you came to tell us about it and how it works. I'm hoping that people are walking away from this program thinking that it's something that they can now accomplish.
Absolutely.
If they can't do it on their own or with a friend, they have you. Which, by the way, all of the contact information for Kristina is at the end of the show, and I encourage you to look at that. Is there anything else that you'd like to leave people with before we wrap this up?
No, just good luck on your organizing endeavors. Sometimes it can get a little tricky, but stick with it, and the benefits really do pay off in the end.
Okay, I can't agree more. I know it's helping me to be more organized. I don't know if everybody notices it, but I notice. So I'm really encouraging people to try and get that chaos under control. As I said, Kristina's information is at the end of the show. You're free to contact her. Her website will be there and phone number, all that information. Also, the contact information for One Voice at a Time. And if you have an idea for a show or you'd like to be on the show, we welcome everyone. I'm not, I don't pick and choose. People come to me or they're recommended. And I'm glad to have all of you. It's your First Amendment rights of free speech, and I will protect them always. It's the number one thing for me and why I was involved in this industry for so long. And if you are at all interested, you can also do your own programming as a host, run the camera, be a director. All of those positions are available to you just by making a phone call to the Londonderry Access Center, ask for Erin, and she'll sign you up for classes, and they're fun. I hope you'll join us again next time, and thank you very much for watching.